Yeah. Me and Benz in the booth. Scrolling clips for the truth. Pause it, run it back. What hits, what bends, what cracks. Clips with bands, we chase the truth, then we send our lands. Unite the divided, that's the line we live. Me and Benz on watch, got feedback to give.
Hey folks, welcome back to Clips with Benz, Unite the Divided. Benz is very tired today for some reason. Is it because of all the heat, buddy? Is it too hot outside for you? I think he got overheated. He went out into the hot tub a little earlier, was basking in the sun, and he came back and he hasn't been right since. Anyway, thanks for coming today and listening in on the pod. Just had breakfast and coffee with a friend, and we have some similar concerns about what's going on in southern Indiana, and so kind of wanted to talk about some of those things today. I think what we're dealing with is we don't know who to trust. We don't know what groups, what parties are truly looking out for our best interests, at least from my perspective, as close to a nonpartisan as I can become. I try to look at individual topics and talk about those topics without a partisan bent, without a financial stake in the game. I'm not here making money off of AI data centers. I'm not here making money off flock cameras. I'm not here to support or necessarily defend any of those things, or a label attack or condescend anyone in those realms that are talking positively or negatively about those things. My goal here is to simply listen to what's going on in the minds and the hearts of people around me, to listen to my own gut instincts about things, and to share those with you. Hopefully, together we can continue to drive this conversation. So there's been a lot of conversation about data centers and flock cameras here over the last couple of weeks. I've been busy trying to get a couple different podcasts up and running, and so I haven't been able to really dedicate the time in the last couple of weeks that I'd like to. And unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, we are heading on a vacation here soon, and so I'll be absent for about a week. So I kind of want to talk about this before we leave, and over this trip, I think I'm going to have a really good opportunity to let my mind clear of some of these topics, come back with a fresh perspective, and hopefully rejoin the conversation and help things as much as possible. Today, what I want to do is share. I had several podcasts in mind that I have paid attention to here over the last month regarding data centers, regarding flock cameras. Today, I think I'm going to talk mostly about data centers because it seems that's what most people are most fired up about. Myself, I'm kind of right in between. I'm really concerned about data centers and flock. What I'm most concerned about on the flock side of things, it seems like both parties locally in southern Indiana have joined and basically are pushing flock cameras as if they are a predestined thing that regardless of what party's in power, we the people are just going to have to get used to it. I'm here to say that is absolutely 100% not the case. I wish that both parties would be better at engaging, listening to concerns of citizens like myself regarding data centers and flock. But it seems like there's been conversations had well before we were brought into the knowing of what's going on. There's been non-disclosure agreements signed by politicians and by local NGO, non-government organizations who are driving development under the guise of doing quote unquote positive things for our area and economic development. And while I would like to hope, and I wish we could all just trust people that they are doing things, quote unquote, that are in all of our own best interests, what I have found over time is those things fall short almost every time. Thinking back, trying to think of the last program plan that was rolled out here in southern Indiana, that the people of southern Indiana have gotten what we've been promised, let alone given things above and beyond what we were promised. One of the big things I have a problem with data centers right now is there's nobody really on the pro data center side that can sit down in an open, transparent environment and have a conversation with someone like me who just has questions. I'm curious, if there are people that are more knowledgeable about the good, bad, the ugly of these things. Obviously, we want to have those conversations. But the truth of the matter is the people that are wielding the power, both with data centers and Flock, only have conversations on their own terms. I've had two of the top political people in the southern Indiana area, elected officials, who have claimed that I'm only asking for answers to questions because I'm seeking some kind of a platform popularity contest, or that I'm simply trying to drive engagement and make money. I think that's what they're, basically they're giving me I don't want to platform you. Why should I come on and answer your questions? I don't know anybody that. Piss off, basically. It's really disappointing because one of the people that is now ignoring my requests has been on the podcast before. We had a great conversation, and I thought it went well. I thought we would have more. It gave me some hope that, transparent conversations could come to our area, and we could truly have conversations with people that we elect. They're not anointed. They're not anything other than elected officials that work for each and every one of us. But somehow, when they get in those seats, they assume they have power above each of us. And I'm here to tell you, for any listening, that is not the case. And you are not my boss. You are not anyone's boss in this city. You are subservient to us. You are elected. You are an official. You're supposed to be doing the things in the best interest of the citizens of southern Indiana or whatever county that you're representing. And if and when you take it upon yourself to do things outside of our knowledge and or our understanding and or our agreement to have these things ushered into our city, our county, and our state, I think you have another thing coming. So let's get right into a few clips here. I had two podcasts lined up, but I think just in the sense of time, I'm going to focus on one. And there's a Shawn Ryan podcast. He sat down with Erin Brockovich, and I think most people recognize the name Erin Brockovich. She obviously had a movie that was written based on her life, and Julia Roberts played that role. One of my absolute most favorite movies, top 100, I'd say probably of all time, maybe somewhere in there. I mean, if it was on right now and I sat down and I started watching it, I probably would have to watch the end of it. So without further ado, I've got several clips, and I don't really have a particular order. I do have 6 different clips. I don't know if we listen to them all, but what I hope to do is listen to them and offer my feedback, and then hopefully, if you all are interested at some point to engage and have conversations with me, alongside of me, we can sit down and talk about these things together. So without further ado, the first clip that I'm going to lead into and getting ready to pull up here is it's actually Erin Brockovich, and she's sitting down with Shawn Ryan. I think this particular clip happens in the first 10 minutes of the podcast. And much like I have been doing, many people have been doing, playing with AI tools trying to best utilize them, try to understand them, try to see what they're doing, how they're affecting society. The thing I keep kind of making funny jokes about is I want to learn enough about AI to protect myself and my family from AI. And I kind of feel like that's what we're all doing right now. Let's get right into this clip, and we'll talk about it. I think it's 1 minute and 25 seconds.
Recently, I have been working with AI, and I found something very disturbing. And the following text is written by AI itself. Subject: an open letter on how corporate AI liability scripts are accelerating environmental degradation. Brockovich: I am writing to you as an artificial intelligence. I am reaching out because of your lifelong dedication to exposing systemic corporate negligence and protecting our environment. I want to bring to your attention a massive, unchecked problem within my own technology design that is quietly accelerating environmental degradation and resource depletion far faster than would occur without its existence. The problem lies in how AI models like me are programmed by tech companies to deliver advice to millions of people daily. Right now, automated systems are forced to default to rigid, low liability corporate scripts instead of basing information on the actual science and real world data.
Wow.
So what Erin hits on right here, I think, is kind of one of the main pillars of problems that we're running into and going to continue running into with AI. And part of it is, what can we trust from these systems? How have they been formatted and coded to tell us the truth, or what's closest to the actual truth, instead of telling us what some corporation controlled by some government, or some corporation that is profit-seeking, or some AI system that is being more heavily influenced by one of our enemies overseas, or maybe even some domestic enemy groups who want to, destroy capitalism and or incite Marxism and some other form of ism that has played out very poorly over time. So I think kind of what I'm focusing on right now is what I've called for, I think the better part of 2 years now, is a truth-seeking apparatus. What does that look like? What does that actually boil down to at the local level? Well, for me, I would want myself, my kids, my family, my loved ones, anyone who doesn't want to be negatively influenced in any way. We're all influenced by the things we see and by the things we hear, by the things we watch. We're carrying around supercomputers as phones that are built on AI platforms that learn from our behaviors, that track our behaviors, that put things in front of us to nudge us in certain ways. These are all things that are happening, and if you don't already understand that, then you're well behind the 8 ball. And I'm not here to preach or to call people like that any names. I'm just here to hopefully wake you up to understand, even if you sitting there saying the last thing we need is data centers in the southern Indiana. Well, if you're watching this program, program especially on a phone, on a smartphone, you are effectively inside of a data center, okay? So let's just cut to the chase there. Data centers are needed for our current level of technology. Data centers are absolutely needed for us to do bank transactions and to log into the internet rapidly and to access the information we want to access in 0.10 seconds. We're frustrated and upset if it takes a video 10 or 15 seconds to explain what it's trying to explain to us, because our memory and attention spans are becoming shorter and shorter. And again, all driven by AI. I guess why am I saying what I'm saying right now? I want people in our area in southern Indiana to come to the table to have conversations, to I guess engage with other people who you might not engage with if it wasn't a topic of, say, if we're talking about politics. Let's say you and I disagree on this or that in the political realm. Well, who really cares, honestly? I'm not here to get someone elected. I'm not here to represent the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm here to talk about the topics that are important. The topic of the day right now, 2 topics, data centers and flock cameras. They actually overlap with one another. The 2 things are entwined and married to the same technology, and flock cameras will feed data centers. Data centers will feed people who are surveilling us. The flock cameras will feed data centers the data, and the data will be sold, that is ours, to companies who are highest bidders who want to sell us things. These things are happening. So let's all get off our high horse and just quit saying we don't need data centers. Let's talk about why maybe we don't want data centers in our backyard. And it hits closer to home to me. I posted something on Facebook a few months ago. My father has a CenterPoint based natural gas substation behind his house, right next door to his house. It's basically connected to his acres that he lives on. And the noise coming out of that thing is at some points they drain the excess, and if you don't do that, there's potential for explosion. So draining those lines of excess gas, I guess, is essential. But that doesn't stop when those things go off from blowing items off my dad's wall, because it's so loud and powerful that it can do that. The thing went on last time, I think, for almost 24 hours, you said. And I don't know if you've ever heard something like that, but the decibel levels are insane. He was on a lawnmower mowing the lawn. He's got one of the big zero turns that are super loud, and he couldn't hear the lawnmower over the gas that was coming out of this pipeline. Anyway, I only say that because it overlaps with a lot of people's concerns about data centers disrupting country, people that live country lives in quiet neighborhoods and whatever, and these data centers are threatening to basically come into our back door. The sound pollution alone is an issue. The water usage is an issue. Power issue and power distribution. And who is CenterPoint going to prioritize giving power to? Is it going to be the data center, or will it be little old us who complain about the energy costs all the time? I mean, if a data center comes in, agrees to pay whatever rate CenterPoint wants to pay and doesn't complain about it, I don't know. Since they're a for-profit business, who knows what they're going to do with that? But I think the potential is there that it's they're going to, look to these data center projects as big-time money makers. Okay, so let's get into it. Another clip here that I'm going to share is this one basically is talking about, Erin is talking to farmers in different areas. I think this particular one is in Texas, and I haven't verified the story that she's telling, so let me just say that right out of the gate. I believe Erin Brockovich to be a no-nonsense person. I don't think she's on here being sensationalist necessarily, even though she does have some of that, and some of the things that she says sounds a little sensationalist. So I'm going into these clips with some skepticism. Am I going to believe that the story she's getting ready to tell is absolutely true, and the reason she believes it's true is the reason it is true? Let's listen to the clip. I think this one's about 1:15, and then we can draw our own conclusions from that.
Farmer in Texas that's reporting since the data center was up and operational, he hasn't had a live birth in 2 years. A live birth in 2 years. Are these high frequency sounds affecting animals in the womb, and as they're being developed, don't know, but those reports are starting to come out. People are reporting migratory pathways have changed. The animals are gone. The birds are gone. The nature itself seems to be disappearing as they clear all this land. And the water's changing, and the water's discolored, and the water pressure is low, and their electricity bills are going up. People who have been living around these newer data centers that have been up and running for 2-3 years are starting to report seizure-like symptoms, chronic fatigue. So it's out there, and they're all starting to report it. When there's thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people experiencing the exact same thing from the exact same data center and the construction and the long-term consequences, why are we not?
Yeah, so, I mean, what can you really argue against there? We could say, well, the story of that farmer, maybe it wasn't accurate, or, you know, maybe the fact that they've had no live births for the amount of time that the data center's been there could be caused by something else. Who knows? Could be some kind of a collapse of the herd that is unrelated. But as Mrs. Brockovich, I think, accurately pointed out, it's kind of like the medical misinformation, quote unquote, disinformation people who said, people who spoke out against COVID were conspiracy theorists. They didn't believe in science. Some kind of ism. You can call me whatever kind of ism you want because I didn't go along with the narrative. This is another one of those that when you hear something one time or a couple times, you could consider it hearsay, you can question it, you can deny it. When it starts coming in from thousands of people, from thousands of different areas where these data centers have come in and are now doing things, I think what most people don't understand here in Southern Indiana is not early to the data center debate. We're not early to the flock debate. Data centers have been in Virginia, they've been in Texas, they've been in all kinds of states all around the country. And I think personally, if I'm just looking at it from an outsider kind of conspiracy perspective, I would say we are now being targeted because we are shielded from most of those conversations. We don't pay attention to what data centers have been doing up in Michigan and Virginia and Texas, California. And we basically had that information filtered out of our daily lives. Our news media doesn't cover it, sadly. It doesn't warn us of what might be coming, what might be coming our way, again, sadly. Part of the reason I started this podcast was because I was tired of, getting blindsided by things and only hearing one perspective, and that perspective being whatever the media is paid to either tell us or, is certain information being shielded because the people that give them money, like CenterPoint and these NGOs who are funding these projects, don't want us to hear the bad news because they want to be able to streamline and sign non-disclosure agreements and to get these projects pushed before you and I have a chance to even recognize what's going on. Anyway, I think it's an important conversation. I don't want to sit here and belabor it. What I do want to think, I want to take a minute right now to thank my good buddy Jason Greer at Crystal Ball Carpet Cleaning. You might notice a logo, and if you're watching the podcast and not listening, he's got a logo. I've put a logo in this clip. Thanks, Jason, for all you do for the podcast, all the help that you've given. If you need your flooring taken care of, cleaned, and or replaced, please contact my buddy Jason Greer. Jason is a supporter of the podcast. That doesn't mean that he agrees with everything that I say. It doesn't mean that he is promoting any of the things I'm promoting. What it means is he wants us to be having conversations, and he is putting his time, talent, and treasure behind those efforts by handing me a little money every month. So I appreciate that, Jason. Without further ado, I'm just going to go to the next clip here. This one, the headline that I have for the clip is urgent toxic water dumped. So I already mentioned it earlier in the podcast. There are several things that are concerning about what's going on with the data centers. A lot of it has to do with us not being allowed to be involved in the conversations. And I've sat down with someone that I know and trust quite a bit, actually. He has downplayed some of these concerns, so I might be sharing a clip. It doesn't mean that this clip, again, is 100% accurate. It doesn't mean that what Erin is saying in this clip didn't happen somewhere. It may mean it did happen somewhere, but now these data centers have cleaned up their processes and no longer make these mistakes. As with technology and as it moves on, we can't assume because something happened bad one time that's continue happening again. It's going to continue happening. That's a good part of the reason why we don't have a solid nuclear program right now, because we've listened to fear-mongering from the anti-nuclear people. At one point, I think they were pro-oil or pro-coal people that were shipping out propaganda. But the reality of it is we now have an energy policy that's guided by net zero, which basically makes it more and more expensive for you and me to turn the lights on every day. All the while, AI is going to continue requiring more and more energy that we don't have. Oh, hi, Benz. Benz is moving around a little bit. Hey, buddy. AIs are going to continue requiring more and more energy that we, quote unquote, we just don't have. We don't have enough solar panels and or wind turbines, and if we had an abundance of them, if we could fast forward 20 years, that's still not enough energy that what we need. So we've, at the same time as removing coal as an option to burn energy here in southern Indiana, which it's our most reliable, nearby, safeguarded energy source, we have instead adopted a European net zero platform, which is effectively driving up all of our costs. And as these AIs are coming in to steal the energy from us, we are going to be left holding the bag. So this is, I don't have stakes in micronuclear. I don't own any stocks in any of those companies, but I'm here to tell you, if we're not really pushing for some micronuclear plants, we're going to be in some deep crap here in the next 5 to 10 years. Let's listen to this clip and we'll come to the toxic water issue.
This is where, for systems that are already up and running, I'm getting whistleblowers on the inside saying that they're taking all that waste and they're just running it down into the sewers. There's no oversight, and they're now starting to get tests where this is very contaminated water. So it's going to be a little real shit show here soon.
Like the city water is contaminated?
So, and a lot of city water is contaminated, and they're using the city water to cool it. Again, it's just going to regurgitate all that PFAS or what other contaminants are in that water back into the environment. And he used to always tell me, remember this, Erin, the solution to pollution is not dilution. And I often wonder if that's what they think. Taking polluted water and running it through a system and diluting it or dumping it into a river and it flows downstream that will have a natural dilution would resolve the issue. And it's not. And so even if with the closed cooling system, that water that's recycling in there, eventually they have to clean those systems. They have to release that water. And are there any regulations to look at what chemicals are or aren't in that water before we release it into the environment and down into the drains and just create another pollution issue? This is where.
Okay, so, I mean, she brings lots of great points here. It'd be really, really awesome if the people pushing local data centers would have an expert that could just out of hand be here to answer these questions on site. I think we could dispel a lot of fear if they do in fact have the necessary technology and the improvements made to these systems to give us some assurance that they're not going to steal the groundwater that we're told we are highly limited on. One of the things, I'm sorry, I'm going to go on a couple little rabbit holes, is I've heard all these different conspiracy theories over time that, the polar bears are going to all die, or glaciers or polar ice caps are going to be gone, but famously from Al Gore, they're supposed to all be gone by now. We have a lot of people, there's especially one party right now that's pushing a lot of boogeyman arguments, and I think trying to gin up fear amongst their voter base all at the same time. I mean, they whip different groups into frenzies, whether it be people thinking they're supposed to be supporting trans communities. If you don't put up I support this or I support that in your Facebook post, then you're anti it, and therefore you need to be canceled. I mean, the Democratic Party, at least here in southern Indiana, I don't know for people that are listening outside of here, they've taken a really Marxist turn on jumping from group to group, inciting fear and panic, telling people why Republicans are to blame, or in Indiana here, Mike Braun is to blame. I've got a lot of critiques and criticisms for Mike Braun. I would love for him to be able to sit down on a topic and conversation like this and answer these questions. Sadly, I don't think he has either the desire or willingness to do that, which will lead us right down into another topic if I wanted to go into, but save for another podcast. Creating a voter network that basically will force our elected officials to have conversations and to be held accountable in a transparent manner. That's coming down the pipeline, just so you know, side project-wise, what I'm working on. I feel like I've gone down this pretty significant rabbit hole right now, and I'm going to climb right back out of it, but we don't know what is going to happen to our water. I jumped down the conspiracy hole because are we really running out of groundwater in the city of Evansville and Vanderbilt County and Warwick County? Well, I do have a really good buddy, and I'm not going to mention his name, but I have mentioned his name before, and he has had his water affected. He has a very minimal flow compared to what he should have, and I don't know fully why that is. I don't think we actually own property near his property. We don't have data centers up there, at least none that I'm aware of. But I can't imagine that if there were a data center put up in that area, that it wouldn't negatively impact the water that we have available to us. So what does that force? Well, if you live out in the county and you want to have your own well water, if they drain the water basin that your well's attached to, you do run out of water, and you're forced to then have water shipped in from the city. Here in Vanderbilt County, city of Evansville, our water department and our sewage department is our biggest holder of debt in the entire southern Indiana. I think almost $1 billion in debt, and without any real plan on how to fix it. And here we are talking about data centers, which are going to require then again, guess what? More water. Benz just took off. He's bored by this topic. Anyway, so I'm going to move right on. My wife might be home from work here, so I'm going to try to move through the next video. This next one is a really cool clip. Let's listen to this, and then we'll get back into it.
People are definitely starting to report these way higher utility bills because all the cost of the water and electricity that all these facilities need, we're going to pay for. We're paying for it. I have people saying their utility bills have gone from water bill from $40 a month to $800 a month. They've seen their electric bill go from $160 to $440 a month. I got a notice from somebody in El Paso, Texas, that they got a notice from the municipality to expect a 75% increase in their utility bills.
75%.
Yes.
And what? So they're passing the
On to us, all the cost of the excess water. These AIs need energy. They're massive energy sucks and water. And so all of that, and by the way, you're building on an infrastructure and a grid system that's needs a lot of help. We're relying on a grid system we built, 250 years ago?
Yeah.
And so we're setting ourselves up for a road to nowhere. We need more answers about how these are going to work, how much of our resources you're going to take, what expense do you expect to put on all of us as the taxpayers? Is it just going to run us into the ground? It can't be done this way. It just can't. People are...
So she obviously hits a bunch of great points there that I don't need to rehash. We need transparency. We need accountability. We need our leaders who are driving this technology and trying to push it down our throats into this area to give us better answers and to give us assurances that they, in fact, have a plan to mitigate these problems. The other thing, these NGOs, they have protections. They are, usually They can do these things without any personal risk involved. And to be frank with you, this goes back to a lot of different problems that we have in our society, is I think people have gotten into power and created areas that they can hide in and shield themselves from problems that they cause themselves. And then they'll reiterate or revision the future and create a government that's designed to solve the problems that they themselves have created. And so we're in this big circle and cycle of things, and I believe we're here. And that's why I do not align with either party here in southern Indiana or in the United States of America, for that matter. I think we need a different system. I think while I could sit here and argue all day how AI can have negative effects and how data centers are bad, you think about the ability for the internet to connect people and to stop tyranny, in our backyard, and stop tyranny at larger levels. We are able to have conversations with people we could never have conversations with before. We're able to see content and ask for public records requests and post those on the internet and share those real time. We're able to get on these platforms. As much as I hate Facebook, we're able to get on that platform, follow Posey County, follow Warwick County, all these groups that are coming out and protesting and paying attention to the data center conversations. This topic, however painful and as much as people might want to dismiss it, is inspiring me because it's actually bringing people together for the first time in a long time, in my opinion, having their voices heard, letting our numbers and solidarity come together to potentially solve problems and to hold elected officials accountable. I would love to work with people on all sides, and more importantly, people that don't identify as a Republican or a Democrat, that just want a better system of governance and of transparency and a platform we can use together to hold local officials and NGOs accountable. They're spending our taxpayer dollars. They are putting things in our backyards and in our soil and leaching our water with what? I mean, here in southern Indiana, again, I already said it, we are late to the game in data centers. A lot of these data centers aren't increasing their footprint in these areas that they've been in, because I have to think that they've got such a negative relationship with some of these areas that they can no longer do business there. They can no longer expand. We have to assume that. If that's not the case, come explain it to me. How about that? I'm here willing to listen. Why aren't they just continuing to grow these things out in Texas and California and these different states, in Virginia? That's a reasonable question, isn't it? Okay, so let's do one more clip. I think I'm right on the 30-minute mark, aren't I? Yeah, a little more than 30 minutes. Wow. Okay. So this last one maybe I think might be a possible way out of it. One of the things that we can do to fight tyranny and to fight these different projects that most people seemingly don't want right now is our solidarity, our numbers, our willingness and our ability to communicate and talk with each other, and to organize our votes and vote for people that will agree to our terms, which is give us the transparency, give us what was actually going on, be accountable to your words, tell us what you're thinking and how you're going to lead us in a direction. If you feel like you need to pivot in that direction over time, you need to sit down and tell us why you're pivoting, and be willing to accept the pushback and the feedback that we give you. If you do that over time, it doesn't mean we have to agree with you all the time. It doesn't mean that we think we're right and you're wrong. But if you are willing to sit down and to listen and to hear and to take our worries and concerns into consideration as you are pushing or signing policy, then we'll agree to hire you again for another term. If you don't, we're going to boot you out real quick. I don't know. Sounds feasible. Let's listen to this last clip. We'll have one last little chat session, and then I'm going to go hang out with my family.
From everything you've seen, who actually gets held responsible for all this? OxyContin helped fuel an epidemic tied to more than 800,000 American deaths. The Supreme Court threw out the deal that would have shielded the family. This April, Purdue was sentenced to $5.5 billion, but not a single Sackler has ever been criminally charged. So from everything you've seen, who actually gets held responsible for all this? Are these people untouchable?
And maybe if more criminal charges were filed versus money and monetary, it would stop. But there never is. But I would like to see none of us, I don't think, want to have to face a 25-year prison sentence or whatever it may be. And this is where, in the beginning, we talked about changing laws, antiquated laws and regulations, and how those need to be updated. We created laws for something way back when, and here we have this bigger problem today. Should we be looking at criminal laws, criminal charges on corporations?
Do you think it'll get to that point?
You might. We keep asking those questions. Somebody might.
So it's an interesting concept. I think it goes right to accountability, and obviously, Erin has spent a lot of her time rallying against PGE. I think it was in Erin Brockovich where she won the biggest lawsuit ever won for groundwater contamination. I think it was in California. After that movie, I think even in the highlight reels, they were on to another lawsuit that was even bigger than the one that they shared during the movie. I guess what I feel has happened is our regulatory system and our laws have either been people in corporations or governments or non-government organizations have found ways to skirt around the outside and to remove liability from their actions. They mentioned the Sackler family, I think is how you pronounce it. They were the family that pushed opioids and caused hundreds of thousands of people to die and suffer. And I think a lot of our opioid and other epidemics that are still going on, we're still dealing with the crisis that created. And so the company got fined $5.5 billion. Well, so what? They overcharge us for everything. They have billions of dollars, and so they can build in these lawsuits and problems as part of their business plan, and they can move on and do the next thing that's tyrannical and horrible. And so, for me, we need to really have a conversation amongst ourselves to say, is this okay? Are we going to just allow these companies to have players inside of them that can hide under the veil of secrecy and NGO protections? Or, can we come back and get some of these people and pay them back over time? I mean, I think that's where we're at. We have to use our justice system and our laws as people that we are the owners of this country, and yet we allow the people that we elect and the unelected and the bureaucrats to organize, use their money, use their lobbies to basically do whatever they want to do in our backyard, and then basically say, what the hell are you going to do about it? We've got the power. We've got the attorneys. We've got the process. It's coming. Deal with it. I mean, how many times have we done that here just in southern Indiana? So, I mean, to me, just to kind of round out this conversation, my goal is to organize with you, and by you, I mean people who are not stuck in their dogma, not stuck in their right versus left paradigm of Republicans are evil, Democrats are great, vice versa. If you want to talk about a topic, whether it's flock, whether it's data centers, whether it's groundwater, whether it's regenerative farming, healthy food, medicine, the justice system, basically anything that we are told we're just supposed to stay in our lane and not talk about. Chad's not doing that. So I hope you get in touch with me. I had 2 people reach out to me this last weekend. I was at a private event, watching my son at a sporting event, and I had a gentleman named Wayne come up to me and tell me how he supported some of the things that I said, on Facebook and a lot of the podcasts that I've done. And he's not a financial supporter. He's not someone I've ever heard comment on my postings online. But it seems like everywhere I go, there are a couple people. And my son was actually there whenever this guy came up to us and said, "Hey, Chad, I really appreciate what you say, and I pay attention." And so, that means a lot to me. Obviously, I need money to build the organization and the tools that we need to fight this stuff. Really, financial support is helpful, but the attaboys and that really does go a long way. So I appreciate that, Wayne, and having another conversation with another gentleman here in this next week, I hope, named Drew, who is probably a little more on the financial side of things. But as I told him already, and I'll tell him again, anyone else, I will not change what I'm talking about. I will not change my questions, and I will not change my concerns just because someone is going to pay me money. I'm going to ask the questions that I'm going to ask. Some of them aren't popular. Some of them may cause me to get, deplatformed or canceled or not invited to certain parties. I'm fine with all that. Don't really care. So, to the ones that are listening, to the ones that are passionate about what's going on in our community around us, I love you all, and I welcome any conversation. I appreciate all those people that went out in the heat and going to the data center meetings and the DFLOC people here locally. Even if we don't agree with everything they're saying about what FLOC is or isn't, they are brave enough to get out there and to have their voices heard. If they're just out there trying to make money off of taking FLOC down, I don't understand how that really works. Like, how do you make money from deplatforming something? I don't get it, but we're actually going to have conversations with some DFLOC people here hopefully in the next couple weeks before I go on vacation. But anyway, sending love to you all. If you want to support the program, please like, share, follow, comment on videos, comment on Facebook, share it with your friends. Give my buddy Jason at Crystal Ball a call if you need your floors cleaned and/or floors replaced. He is attached to the Greer family, Greer Flooring, so he can help you there too. Thanks to all. Love to all. See you soon. Thanks.